Hello everyone, welcome back to the Warzone. I'm Scruffy, and this is Scruffy Tales. And things have happened in Kursk, maps have been updated, and everything appears to indicate that Russia struck back. And we're starting off with the ISW map, and as you can see, we have quite a lot of red after the latest update. And red indicates Russian counterattacks into Ukrainian occupied territory that is now under Russian control. And down here used to be orange, yellow, indicating Russian claimed advances, and now it has been confirmed by the ISW team that Russia is indeed in control of these locations. Uh, and we also have this area here now, yellow, claimed Russian advances along the border between Russia and Ukraine. So we'll see if that ends up being true as well. What else? Yes, of course, we also have an indication that Russia has pushed Ukraine back over in Glishkovo. And as you can see, we have some further claims directly south of it that Russia has pushed on even further. But the red here is confirmed being controlled by Russia. So we're gonna focus a bit on this part, and then we're gonna jump over to take a look at what's going on over here. And as you can see, the mappers aren't in full agreement what's going on, and that's not all that strange. Kursk is a fast-moving battlefield, not like down in Ukraine where you have static lines where they fight over a couple of 100 meters per week. Here things happen quickly. They advance a kilometer or two per day, and then there's a counter move somewhere, and you fall back and you lose territory and what have you. So it's not that strange that the mappers have uh, different maps, basically. So here we have the ISW. They used to have Vesaloye as in Ukrainian control. Now they're saying Russia has reclaimed Vesaloye. Noel reports map has Vesaloye still in Ukrainian control. Andrew Perpetua never had Vesaloye as under Ukrainian control. So quite clearly something's going on, and I believe that Vesaloye may not be in Ukrainian control, as Noel reports claims. I think Russia has secured the town, but fighting is still ongoing. Andrew Perpetua has also given Ukraine a lot of territory to maneuver in, unlike Noel reports. ISW seems to agree somewhat. And more importantly, it appears as if, according to Andrew Perpetua, that is, that Ukraine has pushed out along the highway leading up to Glishkovo. And I mean, from here to here, it's only some 2 kilometers, if this is true, which should, I mean, that puts Ukraine really close to Glishkovo. But that's not really mirrored in the other mappers, certainly not here with Noel reports. But as we can see, ISW confirms it somewhat that Ukraine has pushed out to this eastern part, east of Vesaloye. Right, so taking a look at some other Russian advances. As you can see, Russia has pushed in this way and could potentially be moving in along the border down here. And we also have some detailed borders here of Russian advances. And crucially, when we move on to look at the different maps, we need to keep an eye on Viktorovka because it's a good point of reference. And as you will see, the mappers don't all align all that well. So things are happening. It's a fast-paced battlefield, a modern battlefield without the minefields, without the trenches, and things are happening fast once units begin to move. So here we have Noel reports map, and zooming in on this front line here, we can see that Viktorovka is indeed in Ukrainian control, just as with the ISW team, and they sort of align uh, more or less the same. You have a lake up here, the lake. The difference being that ISW has added this part that Russia might have pushed in south of Viktorovka in this area here. Andrew Perpetua's map, Viktorovka is located here. That would be this part. So Andrew Perpetua also has Viktorovka in Ukrainian control, but he doesn't have this Russian push to the south. However, as you can see, the lake on Andrew Perpetua's map is contested, and we have Russians operating to the east of the lake. That is not the case with ISW or Noel reports. But it seems as if it's quite clear that the situation here right outside of Viktorovka is fluid. You have a stream or a river running north and south here, and I'm guessing Ukraine is relying on these waters to help them hold the line. But still, we have the ISW claims that Russia may be moving in south of this entire area. And last but not least, the deep state map. As you can see, they are not as forthcoming as the others are. This entire area here is contested. Viktorovka is within the contested area, and and they kind of support the ISW claim that Russia is making a push in the south and that they are pushing aggressively into this area as well. So yes, it's quite clear that the area around Viktorovka here is fluid. Russia is applying a lot of pressure and could maybe be pushing in south. But there is a lot of fighting, obviously, going on around this lake up here, Bahovo, and down here at Viktorovka. So yes, the Russian counter push from Koronevo into Snagost has had effect. They have forced the Ukrainians back as they moved eastward toward Lyubimovka, and the supporting attacks down here in the south has also managed to push the Ukrainians back. So we're now going to take a look at this front line here, up here, right outside of Snagost. Because we've seen ISW has a very detailed border here between controlled Russian territory and claimed Russian advances. And as we zoom in on this town here, Ubukovka it's called, Andrew Perpetua agrees with the ISW team that this town is contested. We have Russians operating in this area. It is in the gray zone, and this is the current front line. What's interesting is that if you follow the line here between confirmed Russian control and claimed Russian control on the ISW map, we can see it lines up with this river leading up here towards Snagost, and then it follows the river towards Bukovka until we reach this point here, and that is when we have this sharp push here, and that seems to suggest to me that Russia is in control of the bridge and can cross this river. And that kind of indicates that the fight in Bukovka is going Russia's way. I think this may end up becoming a Russian-controlled territory in a couple of days on the ISW map. Because if they control the bridge, they can obviously get across all that much easier. So, yeah, so I mean, Russia is gaining territory and pushing Ukraine back without a doubt. But like I said, I mean, the movements and maneuvers and the combat up in Kursk, it's a different type of warfare than down in Ukraine itself. Uh, it's fluid, things are happening fast, so therefore the mappers will give us different maps and positions of various forces. So the deep state map, I mean, they have Ukraine in control north of the river here at the Bukovka. Meanwhile, Noel reports has the Russians in control up onto the river, but they are not in control of the bridge. And the Ukrainians are in control of the town itself, just as is the case on the deep state map. So it's difficult to make headway of what's actually going on. So we need to look at all these different maps and try and figure out the middle ground more or less. And when it comes to this part of the battlefield, I do believe that Russia is in Ubukovka, and they are pushing into town. Ukraine may have a presence. There's probably fighting going on in Ubukovka, but it kind of feels as if Russia is on a roll and are pushing across this bridge, pushing across the river, and gaining control of this small town. So there you have it. Russia is pushing back. Russia is striking back and gaining ground and forcing Ukraine to fall back. We have Veseloyo here that is now apparently well and truly in Russian control. They've made the now famous push from Koronevo into Snagost, where they turned east, heading towards the Ukrainian center. That may still succeed, even though they have struggled since Sunday and during this Monday to make any headway. But they have, on the other hand, had success here along this front line and pushed Ukraine back, and maybe they are moving in south along the border. And I mean, they are effectively, if these claims are true, that Russia has pushed this far, goddamn cough. I mean, they could potentially try and cut off the Ukrainians over here and forcing the Ukrainians to fall back, just the same as if they reach that crossroad over here that I've been talking about, cutting these supplies going north to Ukrainian positions. That might force the Ukrainians to abandon this area and fall back entirely. And so I mean, you can't say that Russia isn't making important gains in Kursk. They are putting a lot of pressure on the Ukrainians, and they have at the moment these two good positions, this one and this potential move here, to cut off Ukrainians and force Ukraine to fall back and withdraw from previously held territory. Ukrainians had hoped, obviously, that the push here into Glushkovo would have forced Russia to allocate manpower this way to relieve the front line over around this front line, to reduce the manpower on this front line. Doesn't seem to have happened yet. I mean, the map updates, they show us what happened 24-48 hours ago. So what we're seeing now, it is what took place during Saturday, more or less. But still, so things might still change, and things may still I mean, things may switch around quickly up here in Kursk. It's not the static warfare we are used to seeing down in Ukraine. This is fast-paced, things happen, things change on a dime, and all of a sudden Ukraine launches an assault into Glushkovo, Russia moves out of Koronevo, all of a sudden Russia will make another move, Ukraine will counter. It's fast-paced, and it's all about grabbing initiative and maintaining momentum. So we'll see what happens in the next 24-48 hours. But at the moment, it appears as if Russia has managed to fight back quite effectively by the looks of it. And that's the end of the video. I hope you found it interesting. I hope I'll see you in the next one. And as always, go på marsch, Ukraine. Give them hell.